Tell me if this sounds familiar. You recognize that you have a problem and that your addictive behavior is impacting your life negatively. You never expected to become addicted when you started. You thought you could quit anytime, but you tried to quit and failed. You get some motivation again, maybe from watching a video or hearing how someone you know quit that addiction. You think this time will be different, but it ends up with failure again. The reason why a lot of people fail to overcome an addiction is because they have no plan. They don't have a strategy. This video will go over a plan you can apply to overcome any addiction. Before we get into the strategy, we first must learn why you might get addicted to something. The reason why people end up doing those bad and harmful habits is because of pressure. Pressure can come in many different forms, like expectations to be a certain someone, or pressure to fit in with the group, or even deadlines. That pressure can come from many different sources, ranging from your friends and family, to society, to yourself. When the pressure becomes too much, people turn to addictive behaviors to get rid of the pain. Psychology says that we instinctively want to avoid things that are painful, and we want to do things that are pleasurable. Doing things like drinking alcohol feels good, and it helps alleviate any stress built up. Whenever you feel that the pressure is too much, you start turning towards those addictive behaviors, since it's a lot easier and it's more pleasurable. As you keep repeating this behavior of turning to an addictive behavior or substance to escape pain, you start developing tolerance and withdrawal symptoms. If we didn't develop any tolerance or withdrawal symptoms, quitting bad habits would be really easy, but that's not how life works. The way tolerance works is simple. When you experience something addictive for the first time, it's either overwhelming or mild. If it's overwhelming, you feel as if there's no danger of overdoing it and getting addicted. If it's mild, you start thinking it's harmless and innocent. As you keep doing that addictive habit, you become less sensitive to it, and you need to do it more often to get the same high. As you start becoming addicted, you might experience withdrawal when you are not able to keep doing that behavior. When you are going through withdrawal, you might feel unwell, and you might even have physical symptoms like an upset stomach. In order to get rid of those withdrawal symptoms, you turn to the addictive behavior, which creates a never-ending cycle of needing to do that habit. Now, let's get into the strategy for overcoming addiction. Instead of focusing all your energy on not doing that bad habit, focus your energy on building good habits instead. The first reason this is effective is because by slowly building all kinds of good habits, you start transforming your life and mindset until your addiction doesn't even feel appealing. Think about it like this. If you smoked a lot to relieve some stress, but then you start going to the gym to work out and it helps you reduce stress, you will eventually turn to the gym instead of smoking. The second reason why this is effective is because it's really hard to just forget a habit. It's just like riding a bike or driving a car. Once you learn how to do it, even if you don't touch a bike or car in forever, you can still ride or drive as well as you used to after a few minutes. Now, how does this relate to habits? Our brains store away habits, and you can't really erase a habit from your brain. It is possible to alter those habits, and that is what we will go over next. The way habits work is that there are 3 parts of a habit. The first step is the cue. It can come in many forms, ranging from an object, sound, smell, place, time, or emotion. Also, there can be multiple cues that lead to the same habit. The cue is there to signal the brain that it's time to start the habit. The second step is the routine. The routine is the habit itself. The third step is the reward. The reward is often a combination of different things. Say the habit or routine is drinking alcohol. The reward could be a mix of feeling relaxed and socializing if you're drinking with friends. The reward is the step that makes you form the habit. If the reward is good enough, the brain stores the 3 steps, and whenever the cue appears, you then start the routine without thinking. That is basically how habits are formed. In order to overcome your addiction, you need to find out the cue that leads you to perform the habit, and the reward from the habit. Once you know what the cue is, you can then slowly replace the routine attached to that cue into something positive. Once we train our brain to associate the cue with our new positive habit, we are halfway there to overcoming the addiction. You also need to find the reward associated with that addiction, since you will be able to figure out the driving force behind your addiction. When replacing a bad habit with a good habit, the cue and reward needs to be the same, so you need to find a good habit that can give you the same reward. Let's go back to the alcohol example. The reward from drinking is that it relieves stress. It's impossible to have a stress-free life, so you need to find another habit to relieve stress. Something like exercising is a great alternative to drinking. Once you know the cue and reward of your addiction, you can start replacing it with something positive. By the way, if you want to learn more about habits, I strongly suggest you get the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, link in the description below. Most of the information in this video is from that book, by the way. Now that you know the strategy, here's how you take action. I want you to start listing out the steps of your addiction. The second step or routine is pretty obvious, since you know what you're addicted to. The cue though can be a bit tricky. As mentioned before, it can come in many different forms, and there are multiple cues that lead up to your habit. Odds are, you have multiple cues that lead up to your habit, so you need to think of as many as you can. The reward though is even trickier. In Duhigg's book, he looked at his bad habit of eating cookies every day. At first glance, you might think the reward is the satisfaction of eating something sweet, but Duhigg discovered that for him, the reward was socializing, since he would go to the cafeteria, buy the cookie, and talk with his coworkers. He was able to deduce that the reward was socializing, since just eating a cookie wouldn't make him satisfied. As mentioned before, there can be multiple rewards from a single habit. You need to analyze your own life and perform some tests to see what the reward for you is. I can confidently say that you won't be able to finish this in one sitting. Finally, think about a new habit to replace your addiction, and try replacing your bad habit with your new habit. Before I end the video, I want to talk about relapsing. No one who puts in the effort to overcome an addiction wants to fail, but the thing is, relapsing is very common. A lot of people think once they relapse, they lose all their progress and it is all over, but that simply isn't true. If you have that mindset, once you relapse, you end up quitting and going back to your addiction, which isn't what you want. Research has shown that when you try forming a new habit, messing up a single day does not have a clear effect on your progress. However, if you continue to relapse and mess up, you start losing a lot of progress. It's important to not see relapse as a failure. When you relapse, the first thing you should do is understand why you relapsed. A common reason is cravings. Cravings are strong urges to do something addictive, and it's a withdrawal symptom. By understanding your trigger, you can put things in plan to reduce the chances of relapsing. You might have messed up by relapsing, but as long as you get back up and try again, you can slowly overcome your addiction. One last thing to note, if you are seriously struggling to overcome your addiction, you should seek professional help. Have you ever been addicted to something? Leave a comment below and check out the video shown on the end screen if you want to learn more about some habits to create happiness in your life.